Next up in our mindset module, we're going to talk about assuming the intentions of others and I guess the impossibility of actually knowing which thing is true. And therefore, the reality is you may as well just assume the nicer thing. So there's a couple of different ways of thinking about this, but if we come at it from a story perspective, I want to give you the story of me one day driving to work, and it's peak hour in the morning, and there's a set of traffic lights just near my house where the left turning lane is, the green light and red light cycle is very fast, and there's a lot of backup, and you can wait at that set of traffic lights for a good 5 minutes before you get your turn. And I'm sitting there one day and I've waited in my queue and I've waited and I've waited, and I'm nearly at the front and I'm second in the line, and the light goes orange and I think I can make it, but right at the last minute somebody in a BMW pulls out of the middle lane, which is supposed to go straight, and they go around me and they cut and they take the last of the orange light and go around really quickly, and I miss the red light and I miss the green light. There's a couple of different ways that I can interpret this, right? We've talked about the narrative and the shark music, but I think that 90% of people here's first inclination in this situation is to be pretty miffed. Oh my God, you jerk, you cut me off. BMW drivers, they're so entitled. I can't believe he did that. What a douchebag, right? That's a pretty common response to this scenario. And what happens is my physiology responds to that, right? I am now frustrated. I am annoyed. I am sitting in the traffic light tense. I'm not really prone to road rage, but if I were, then I might get especially angry. And then I go to work, and that's the mood I would take into my day. People ask me how I am, and I tell them about that, and they're, oh, she's walking on, you want to walk on eggshells around her today. And it changes the whole vibe of everything to do with the day around me. And those people then take some of that anxiety around their day with them. And what happened to his day? What happened to the BMW driver? Absolutely nothing. He went about whatever he was going to do, no matter what my day is like. So then we've got the scenario where I decide to sit there and go, right, well, that sucks. Maybe he had his pregnant wife giving birth in the front seat. And maybe I just saved a baby's life today. Maybe he was going that fast and he was speeding to get to the hospital, and aren't I magnanimous? I literally just contributed to the birth of a baby. What an awesome thing to do. And now I get to sit there feeling pretty good about myself, and I go to work, spread that story, tell everybody I just saved a baby, and they feel good and they don't walk on eggshells around me, and they bring their best selves to the situation as well. Or frankly, the most likely scenario is something that every single one of us who drives a car has done before, and we realized a little bit too late that we were in the wrong lane, and we tried to get from the middle lane into the turning lane at the last minute because we didn't know the area very well, and we were really grateful that somebody let us in, and we did give them a little wave as we went past, but we were already around the corner, so of course they didn't see that. Totally neutral scenario. Somebody just made an accident. We've all done that, right? Now I go about my day a little bit of ambivalent to the whole thing. Now, what changes about his day? Same thing, absolutely nothing. So the only person who is impacted by whether or not he is a genuine douchebag, whether or not he had his pregnant wife in the front seat, or whether or not he just made a mistake, the only person whose day changes out of this is me. So while we don't always have to go down the toxic positivity route of going, isn't life great, all the silver linings, in this particular situation, there is actually no benefit to anybody in thinking the worst case scenario. The only person who suffers for choosing that belief over a different belief is me. And the worst that can happen is that I'm wrong, is that I choose to believe that he was a good person, and it turns out he was a douchebag, and so I had a good day by accident. And if that's your worst case scenario, I think it's worth a little bit of mental effort to shift your natural frustrated response. What about the scenario where you're walking down the street, you've just started at a new job, you kind of don't know people that well, but you see somebody across the road that you think is somebody from work, and you're like, oh, is it them? Is it them? Oh yeah, I think it is. And you give a really big wave across the street, and they ignore it and turn around and walk away so that they don't cross your path. What's the likely thing that's happened here? You've got the instant conclusion of, oh my God, they hate me. Nobody at my new job likes me. Oh my God, it's the end of the world. They just rejected me. I can't believe they did that. What an asshole. Or, oh my God, I'm so unlikable. Nobody will ever like me. You could go down that stream, and many of us do. Or you can think of alternative reasons because the reality is that they're more likely. So, one of the tools that we use in this space is called the rule of seven. And that means for everything that you don't know the answer to, you have to come up with 7 potential reasons why it happened. So, we're coming up with 7 reasons why that person might have turned and walked the other way. Can be they didn't see you because they're not wearing the glasses today. Could be they just realized that they left their oven on at home and they're running home. Could be they're socially awkward and they did see you, but they're terrified of talking to people in public. Could be, well, that they genuinely didn't want to talk to you and they don't like you. But that is no more likely than any of the other scenarios. And now the reason that we ask you to come up with 7 is on purpose because the first 3, 4, maybe even 5 are kind of plausible reasons that could be true. But by the time you're getting to number 6, 7, 8, you're kind of just making up crap. You know, they were abducted by aliens, or, you know, they saw their long lost Aunt Mildred as a ghost behind you and they got scared. You can come up with ludicrous reasons. And this is a good thing because what it goes to show you, if you don't know, you are putting your immediate assumption, which usually has something to do with our own internal insecurities and biases, into a scenario that you know nothing about. So the challenge is to come up with 7 potential reasons why they could have done what they did. And ultimately, if you don't know, and if you can't know, I mean, in that situation, hopefully you can just talk to them about it tomorrow, and we'll talk about that in the module on interpersonal relationships. But if you can't know the answer, my BMW driver, you just get to ask yourself which story serves you, which narrative is helpful for you. And if any of the negative ones are the top of that list that you need to question what's going on for you, that's the case, because there's almost always a very neutral reason why people did something that largely has nothing to do with you. But even if it did, sometimes it's because they had great intentions. Maybe they were turning around to walk away because they've seen you and they've realized that they forgot this box of chocolates that they bought you and they want to go get them before they run into you. The only person who suffers for choosing the negative narrative when you have no actual evidence for that being the case is you.